stop streaming. It's actually live right now. So if I go to YouTube, go to my channel right here. So Dimitri, Zoa, Renato, and Dave. Yoran. It's Yoran. Door. There we go. Alright, and I will also show in here. And it's just a quick stream. Find my profile. Just copy this and paste this to my group. Done. All right, let's go. So we have that. I'm gonna pop up the chat. Yeah, I'm gonna pop up the chat. I'm gonna put over to my streaming computer real quick. See here, 1 second. I have streaming computer here, which haven't set up anything. So let's go to YouTube, and I will switch account to my account, and I'm gonna grab this, and I'm gonna pop up. Oh, not that. Pop out chat. All right, I'm just gonna close this, and now I have my chat going on here, so that I can chat with people. Okay, now close that. Go here. All right. So hi everyone. Welcome to my stream. All right. So today on Twitter, I came across a tweet about using Angular material and Tailwind CSS together, and every time I see Angular and Tailwind, I have to jump in. So the short answer is yes, you can use Tailwind CSS with pretty much any UI libraries or component libraries, but you have to make sure that you have to make sure that you get those two kind of like in sync a little bit. For example, so if you let the base fonts from Tailwind is 16 pixel, is a 1 rem, so everything is based on that 1 rem thing, right? You might want to make sure that the UI library that you're picking have to based on like 16 based instead of like 15 or 14. So that's just the fonts side of things. There's other stuff as well. All right. So in addition to yes, you can use it, I also added about theming. So when you do Angular material theming, and instead of like just following the documentation from Angular material, I would suggest, in my opinion, this is a better approach. In my opinion, that to use CSS variables right? So CSS variables is going to be your source of truth of your colors. And then you're going to define a theme. You're going to use that source of truth, and you're going to define the theme inside of Tailwind, right? And then when we go back to Angular material, we're going to re-reference the Tailwind variables for Angular material theming system. Why is that? So CSS variables is your source of truth of basically your colors, maybe just colors, right? So you want to use that, but you don't, and then you want to use Tailwind to provide value for Angular material because your CSS variables might not be enough. Right? You might want to use some default from Tailwind, maybe like font family from Tailwind, right? So that's one thing. Another thing is that now if you use Tailwind everywhere, the components from Angular material will have that same styles, and then the non-component, maybe like text, right, H1 and stuff like that, the text, you can style those with the colors that you want as well, or the background if you want, like the pill and stuff like that. So we're gonna go through this like through like a demo, and there are people asking what I meant really. That's why I'm doing this stream. I was recording, but it kind of takes too long, so I'm just do a stream. YouTube's gonna save the video for me. All right. Now, before we jump into the demo, I kind of want to set up the context, like the ground, for people that are not familiar with Angular material. Right. So for Angular material, if you go to the guides and then you go to theming Angular material, this is the documentation of how to create the custom theme inside of Angular material. And to create a theme in Angular material, you need at least 2 palettes, up to 3. So what is the palette? So a palette in terms of Angular material is a Sass map, or if you will, a Sass object. So you're going to define these palettes, and inside of these object, you're going to have like a variables, right? A property, a key value pair. So the keys is going to go from 50 to 900. And then inside of that object, you're gonna have like a nest object of contrast, which also go from 50 to 900. And what this means really is just, so if you think of this as your background color, then the contrast for that 50 or hue will be the text color, right? So it contrasts nicely. The material design is really big and very focused on accessibility. So now you have your palette, right? And as I said, you're gonna need at least two. So primary and accent. Okay, I'll try. A primary and accent. Maybe I'll hold on. I'll go bring this back up. How's that? Hello? How's that? Hello. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna just move this over here. So I'm gonna move my mic over here in front of me, just like this. Okay. Hello. Okay. So here you're gonna need like a primary and an accent and then an optional warm palette. And then you're gonna use those palette and define your theme with the color of primary, accent, and warm. Right, and then you're gonna apply that theme to like core theme or any individual component. But most of the time, people would just apply it to all the themes. I mean, all the components. Right, so this is how you would theme an Angular material. Now let's jump in the demo. Right, to start with the demo, I'm gonna just create a new Angular CLI application. So with these flags, so style as CSS, routing is going to be false, and I want to use yarn as my package manager. Just hit enter. It's going to do something. I hope the internet is not too slow. Right. So how everyone is doing? Thank you. So in chat, people chatting in Vietnamese. So chuẩn Trần, bạn chuẩn. Chuẩn said that can I speak a little bit louder? That's why I was moving my mic. And then Tiếng Đạt said I have a good voice. Thank you. I have a nice voice. Thank you. All right, there we go. So now we have an application. I'm just gonna quickly add prettier because I want to have prettier in my editor. All right, and now I'm gonna open WebStorm with for my stuff here. All right, so here is an Angular application created with Angular CLI, latest version and everything. Right. So now I'm just gonna set up prettier real quick here with reformat blah blah blah. Good. Cool. All right, so what we want to do next is we want to add Angular material now to this project. So let's just start with that. So we're going to do ng add Angular material. Oh, how about the font size? Is the font size okay? Is this too small? Let me know if it's too small. All right, so when you do ng add Angular material, which means that, hey, Angular, I want to add Angular material to my project, it's going to ask you for a theme. And for the purpose of this video, we're going to use the custom theme. So we're going to pick custom. Right. Angular material typography, you can select no, but I kind of want to go over the typography as well. So I'm going to say yes. Browser animations is not relevant to this video. So pick whatever you like. Just say yes. It's not gonna hurt anything. All right, font. Yeah. Okay, small font. I'm gonna increase the fonts a little bit here. All right. So my terminals. Let's go up to this. Which I think is fine now. I'll go. So in my component, my code is a little bit too small, right? So go to color scheme font. I'm gonna bump this up to 20. Let me know if 20 looks good enough. All right, or not. All right. I can also bump the font of my my editor as a whole to 18, so it will be a little bit bigger for you to see. So I think it looks good on my preview here. Let me know if it's okay, then we continue. All right, so I'm gonna just pause for a couple minutes. So if people is good with the font, then we're gonna continue. If not, then okay. All right. Let's just solve this real quick. There we go. Done. All right, so let's go. Okay, so we just add Angular material and we select custom theme. Hey, welcome Renato. So yeah, I'm doing this stream to showcase what I meant in the tweet, right, on Twitter about Angular material and Tailwind. And we just started and with like a brand new Angular CLI project, and then I just did ng add Angular material, and we picked custom theme, right? We want to use custom theme. So here what the custom theme schematic gives you, right? we're gonna have that mat core. Everything is basically from the documentation. You can read it. So I want you to pay attention to these three real quick. So we have this theming primary palette, right? And then the accent palette, and then the warn palette. And then we define that theme, and then we apply that theme to all components, right? And for this palette, right? For these palette, the schematic gives you by default a pre-built palette from Angular material. So if you want, you can look at this, and this is the indigo palette, and we're gonna have to do the same thing for our custom palette. All right. So now this is Angular material again. I'm just gonna repeat that Angular material again. Now, if we start the application now, right? We will start the application now with ngserve. And while that's running, I'm gonna go to app component. I'm gonna just delete everything inside of app component, and I'm gonna use the button with matte flat button, color primary, and then this is a material button, right? Very simple stuff here. And it's compiled. I'm gonna go to localhost 4200, and I will see my primary button. I'm gonna increase this up a little bit here. I'm gonna move this back here, and this as well. So that is my primary Angular material button. Now this color is indigo. Now I'm gonna change the palette, and you will see that it changed. So back to my theming. Now instead of indigo palette for primary, I'm gonna use cyan or cyan, whatever you want to call it, cyan. And then I'm gonna save, and it's gonna change to that like cyan, right? So basically that's how you would theme Angular material. Now, before we do anything else, so I'm just gonna commit real quick here, right? We just start with add Angular material. All right, so next what I want to do is I want to add Tailwind now. So just yarn add TailwindCSS. Right. So to recap, we already have Angular material set up. Right, we already have Angular material set up with a custom theme. Now we just added Tailwind. Right, for Tailwind again, so we're gonna start with the Tailwind CSS init. This is gonna give us the Tailwind configuration file. Right now, I'm gonna go to my WebStorm, and we have that Tailwind configuration file. I'm just gonna put in mode real quick here, process.env Tailwind mode with git, and that's it. It's indexing. There we go. All right, so now we have Tailwind. So next we need to bring in Tailwind, right? So so we need to bring in Tailwind over here with Tailwind base, Tailwind components, and Tailwind utilities, right? And we save. Now we go back to our application, refresh, and what the console looks like. All right. I'm gonna just restart my dev server. Yeah, that's animation, blah blah. Okay. There we go. So we see that we have Tailwind. All right, we have Tailwind running, and we'll go back here. We will see this material button. Now, what I want to do is I want to show that Tailwind actually working by adding an h1 Tailwind heading 1, right, with a class of maybe text blue 400. So this should have that, which is not correct, right? So it's supposed to have a blue text, but it does not look like it has it. So why is that? This is kind of weird, right? Why is that? And in fact, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. So let's just see if this works. PX4, PY2, right? Route, VG Blue, 400. This is Tailwind button. It looks like the style is not being applied. So let me look back at my styles. I have Tailwind like that. Maybe I need to do something like this, because now with the New England Material theming API, they use @use, and you cannot put anything before use. You're gonna give like a compilation error, right? Rules must be written before any other rules. So what we can do, we can try have like a style. So we can have a Tailwind.scss here. Maybe it will work, maybe not. I'm just gonna cut that. I'm gonna go back here, put this here, and I'm gonna go back to my styles, and today I'm gonna want to use styles.tailwind, and let's see if it works. It doesn't look like it works. Why might padding and routed BG blue not working? So we can just restart. Oh, I know. I forgot to put in this. So you have to put in purge. If you use like JIT mode, you have to put in like purge. Basically, the purge is what JIT mode is gonna look for content. So I forgot. So it's gonna be everything inside of this, right? SSS inside of source. And if I save this, now I should see that. So this is to show that Tailwind is working. And in fact, we don't really need this file. So we can just cut that, remove this, go back to styles. Don't need that. Right, and put it back here, and it should still works. There we go. Okay, now we have Angular material. We have Tailwind. Now the question becomes, you can see that this is a heading text, right? A heading, a H1. The H1, right? The text blue. What if I want to use the same primary color from material? Basically, you can, right? Because this one is hard coded as a CSS. Like there's no way you can reference it as runtime or even at build time for Tailwind. So what we do in this case is now we're gonna defer the theming to Tailwind, which should be quite easy to do actually. So now I'm gonna go back to styles, right? I'm gonna have variables .scss, and I'm just gonna put in a pre-typed like CSS variables, right? I have a primary, which is a blue, an accent is a green, and a warn, which is a pink. And I have from 50 to 8700. For contrast, I would just use dark primary text and light primary text from Angular material, so I don't have to do that. So now this is my CSS variables. And next, I'm gonna just bring this in my my root styles so that Angular knows about this. Whenever I go back to the application, you can see that now I have my CSS variables. All right, next, I want to go to my Tailwind, right? And inside of a theme of Tailwind, I do the extend. Inside of extends, you will have colors, and inside of colors, I'm gonna have primary, right? And primary is my, again, primary. So I'm just gonna copy all of these primary. Let's just copy that, go back here, put this back in, right, grab that, let's just copy it here and remove that back here and do var that, and of course I need that comma. So here I'm saying, hey Tailwind, for primary 50 please use the CSS variable primary 50, and basically you're gonna do the same thing for accent, warn, and contrast. So I'm just gonna replace this with my stuff because I already have a pre-type on. So you see primary, accent, warn, and contrast. Right, so this is my Tailwind. So while I'm here, I'm gonna do this one more thing. I'm gonna bring in the default theme. So require TailwindCSS default theme, and I'm gonna grab the font family here. I'm gonna just save, and for font family, I'll just do sans. All right, I'm just gonna spread the font family and do sans of font family dot sans. And I'm gonna go to here, go to the bottom. So they're using this. I'm just gonna copy that and put it here. So this one is that, and Roboto is that. That. Right. So now I have the font family and the colors, the theme colors defined inside of Tailwind. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go back to my styles directory. I'm gonna add a theme.scss, or you can call this a palette actually. So this is a palette at SSS. Right now, remember the Angular material documentation. You're gonna need what? A primary palette, right? Which is a Sass object. So in here, you're probably gonna have like 15 stuff like that. So how are you gonna do this? You're actually going to do this. So you have a theme, which is a Tailwind directive, and inside of here you can do colors primary.50. Right. So you're gonna repeat this for every single thing. And I already have one, so I'm just gonna copy that. Right. So now you can see that you format. Gonna have that, yeah. Right, so now you can kind of see that I have all of my palette, right? Primary palette 50, 8, 700, contrast same thing, and I referenced the variable from Tailwind using the theme directive. Same thing for my accent, and same thing for my warn. So now I have these three palettes. I'm gonna go back to my styles, right? I'm gonna go up here, and after Angular material, I'm gonna use styles palette as palette. Right now, define palette. I would just use palette dot primary palette. For accent, it's just gonna be palette dot accent, and for warn, it's just palette dot warn. And now if I save, I go back, you see that my button is a little bit different now, right? Now it's using my value. Now if I go back to my app component, and instead of text blue 400, I can do is text primary 400, and you can see that now my text, which is Tailwind, has somewhat the same color as this. So this is actually 500. So I'm going to change this to 500, and it should look the same. Look at that, right? So now my text looks the same as my Angular material button, and then you can basically use this to style anything. So I have a div here, a class of 48 with 48 routed, background primary 500, and I and have that the same color as my Angular material primary theme. So I mean, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Now we're gonna go to typography. How we change the typography. So back to our theme, back to our styles SSS. We can define a typography, right? And map.define typography config, and for font family, we just quickly use from Tailwind the font family, font family dot mono, and we're gonna just save that. Now, next we're gonna just pass typography to our theme with using that ng material typography, and then with this one, and then we're gonna save, and you can see that my material button is gonna have a mono theme now. And you can see that where's my font family? There we go. Font family is using the font family mono from Tailwind. Now, one thing that you can that you might want to pay attention to is that my button has a text of black, and this is what you set up in your contrast. Some people might want to use Tailwind to override this. So one thing you can do, you can go to this, and for your button, maybe you can do a class of text white, and that might not work. And the reason why is that the theme, the material theme, will come before the Tailwind theme. Right? So this is your text white. It gets overridden. So one way you can do is you can set important for Tailwind. In my opinion, it's not as bad because Tailwind is a utilities framework, and for utilities you might actually want to have important on your utilities, and then you can customize them later. But a better approach in this case is to adjust your contrast, because 500 blue might be contrast might need a little bit better contrast. So we can go back to variables, right? So for contrast 500, we can use a dark primary text instead, and now you can see that we will have a better contrast. Hopefully, it's still 500, and it's, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Tailwind is down. I mean, Angular material is down. Maybe we can do light for 400 and 500 to see what it looks like. It still doesn't look great, so I'm not sure. Wait, this doesn't look right. It doesn't look like. Oh, I think I got it. So for so this one, so this is a bug. I just introduced a bug. So this the material dark primary text and stuff like that, or SSS. So when I references as a variable, a CSS variable, it's a string. It is a string instead of the SSS. I don't know how to unwrap this, to be honest. Anyone knows, please let me know in the chat. But for now, I'm not gonna just mess with the contrast here. How do I do this? Is this better to just, let's see if it works. Add carrots. Copy that back to palettes, and for the contrast, right, go back here. That. It's not good. So for this, what about that? All right, and here I can just maybe use Angular material. That's mad. Would it work? Yeah, I ran into this as well, so I'm not sure what's up. I mean, maybe we can just go in here. Maybe we can just go in here and see what it is. So just copy that for that, right? And for live primary text, just Y. So go back here. It's just Y, so just remove that, save, and now it should be correct contrasted. Yeah, I'm not sure about that situation. Maybe you kind of need to have your contrast, which most of the time it's just black and white. All right, so next, I think I did show the font here, right? The font family here. So basically now everything inside of your, and you here for your body you can just do apply font sans instead, and for this one just apply margin 0, right? And this one is just apply H100. So basically everything inside of your applications now can just use Tailwind. And of course it's gonna scream at me. Oh, not 100, H4. Right now, so now you might ask, how can I have dynamic theme? Because you have CSS variable, it's super easy to change your theme, right? We can do this real quick here. Right, so now back in my variables, so in my root, I will have this as, right, this as normal. Then if I have a dark theme, or just theme dark, right, I will have a kind of different color. So let's go with, let's see, Angular material palette generator. Thing is this one. Yeah, I'm using this one right here. All right, so I'm just gonna pick purple for this, and look at the code. Angular 2, there we go. So this. All right, add carrots, just cut that, go back here, and this, add carrot, paste that in. For accent and for warn, I don't really care. I'll keep the same value. All right, but for now, for theme dark, for dark theme, my primary will become purple. All right, so now if I go back to my app, you see that it's still blue. If I add, maybe if I add theme dark on my body, what does it change? Does it change anything? It still doesn't change anything, does it? Maybe HTML. So if I toggle a class, say theme dark, doesn't work. So where do I set the theme? Or I have to have the theme dark inside the root, right? So maybe this, right? Now if I, in my body, let's say theme dark. Yeah, you can see that, right? Right, the primary change, There we go. And now I can just toggle this and go back and forth. See? CSS variables. CSS variables. So good. And of course, you can add transition. So I'm gonna go back to my styles and just say, hey, everything, please have a transition of colors, and save. Let's see what it looks like. Right now, here I say theme dark, enter. You see that transition? You see the transition? It's good, right? Hell yeah. Maybe I can add like a transition. I don't remember the duration. Yeah, duration. I'll just do 500 for now, right? So let's say that. And now on my body, let's say theme dark again. You see that? Yeah. All right. So to recap, what you want to do is define your colors or your palette, basically your colors, with CSS variables, and then use these CSS variables inside of your Tailwind, right, to define your theme in Tailwind. And here you can also define your font family, basically your typography. And then back in a palette, here's you're gonna define your palette with the theme directive from Tailwind. Then in styles, we're gonna use those palette. And of course, for typography, you can just set up here, or you can have like a CSS file, and you can set up your typography separately, and then you can just use it. Now, for one thing, here we say that, hey, typography, Angular material, please use mono. However, if you look at this is not mono at all. This is not mono. So how do we fix this? So by default, all component themes mixed in from Angular material does not take into account of like most core typography. So what you want to do is you can do all component typographies, and you can pass in that same theme and you save. And now the H1 will have that font, and your Tailwind button also have that font. And of course, same thing here, right? And of course, if I go back to my Tailwind button right here, I can do primary 500. And I have the same thing, of course, again, text white. There we go. All right. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the stream. So I hope you guys learned something. Now is for Q&A. If you have any question, feel free to ask. Yeah, Renato. Yes, I forgot that purge. I always forgot that purge. To be quite honest with you, always. So Renato, I hope that kind of answers your question or your confusion about about that. And one thing is a little bit tricky with Angular material and dynamic theming was that, for example, you don't want to use variables. You don't want to use like a class like theme dark to set up your theme, right? But for some use cases, you might have your customer set up their own theme. So if you imagine, right, if you imagine you have like a multi-tenant application and you maybe your customers are like Walmart, like so their colors is blue. Yes, my stream is always available to watch later. I stream because I'm lazy to record. So that's the reason why. Hey, bean and chilies. I don't know. I don't know enough about blockchain to tell to say. Right. I mean, I've seen people do it, but I'm not sure myself. All right. So imagine you have an application that target multiple different organization, and each of them is gonna have a different brand color. Like Walmart is gonna have a blue color, the Walmart blue, and then Target is gonna have that Target red. Right. So now you're like, so now I don't want to have like a theme Walmart and then theme Target uh 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 class, right? To have that. What if I add another organization or like another customer, right? But basically for my Vietnamese viewers, think of what I'm talking about is like you have like Thế giới di động, right? It's like the yellow theme, and then you have like Tiki, that's the blue theme. So you don't want to have to continuously add more classes for each of your customers. So what you can do is that you can have a UI that let the customer select the 3 colors. So maybe inside of settings, right, you have a themes, and then might have like this one color picker for primary, and we're gonna just copy this primary. This is what accent, and this is one, right? Inside of here maybe you have like hex color, hex color, hex color, and think of these square bracket as color picker, right? So you let their customer pick the theme, right? And then from this theme, from the color that they pick, you can use something like tiny color 2 to basically compute the whole palette. So I have a gist here, a gist.github here, and if I showed you that right now, there's a theme service that I wrote about 9 months ago. So here I'm using tiny color, and let's assume that the customer pick a 3 different primary accent and warn, right? There's a set theme. They pass in that theme with those 3 colors, and then I will update the theme variable. So here, right, for each of these, inside of my theme, I would run through the compute colors. So compute colors will compute everything from 50 to A700. So basically what Angular material needs, right? And then I get back that palette, which is an array of color. Now for each of those variant, I will set the property. Basically, I will set my CSS variables from JavaScript, right, to use that color. So now you can store the theme settings inside the database for that customer, and when they log in, you can load that theme and update your CSS variables, and voila, your application basically has the customer themes. So that is another use case for using CSS variables, right? And having CSS variables as your source of truth for your colors. All right, I can share this in the chat. If we go to YouTube right now, and I go to my stream, and I just paste it here. Right. So I think that's pretty much it. We'll wrap up my stream here. and I can actually push this too. So, and this is maybe theme. All right, and do repo create ng material Tailwind theming. Public, no, no, yes. All right, I'm gonna put master. Now I will have that ng material and Tailwind theming. Cut that. Go back to my YouTube again. So here's the repo. All right. Thank you, guys. If you don't have any questions, thank you for joining. Bye. I'll see you guys in the next video or the next stream. Bye. And thank you, Renato. Thank you. I hope I don't butcher your name, man. I never asked. Sorry about that. All right. So thank you. I feel free to reach out to me on Twitter if you have any questions. All right. Bye.